The restrictions, initially just a series of sigil runes, were now impossible to distinguish due to their overwhelming number, densely overlapping in a chaotic tangle. All that could be seen was a misty, dim glow, twisting and rotating with the howling wind, resembling an endless storm. This magnificent scene could only be experienced by Wang Lin alone. Even the fierce beasts dwelling in the Cloud Sea Rift chose to avoid the restriction storm, fleeing in terror from all directions of the rift towards the exit. The scene was like a beast tide. As the beasts rushed out from the rift, in just a few days, countless beasts had spread outside the Cloud Sea Rift. They didn't venture far, only trembling outside the rift, watching it with fearful eyes. The beast tide outside the Cloud Sea Rift caught the attention of many, and some even tried to venture in to see for themselves, but the restriction storm within the rift made all who attempted to enter retreat in horror. The storm within the rift continued to swirl, its mournful sound resembling ghostly howls, echoing through the surroundings. Deep in the midst of the restrictions, Wang Lin sat cross-legged in the starry sky, his eyes closed, his pupils hidden under his eyelids, flickering with subtle movements of deduction. The ghost face canvas, cut by Wang Lin, had now formed this restriction storm. Wang Lin showed no panic. Everything was as he had predicted. Calm and composed, he gradually explored the origin of the restrictions as the deductions continued. Restrictions, in essence, were formations. To comprehend their origin required an incredibly powerful divine sense. Wang Lin, having reached the mid-ethereal stage in cultivation, possessed a divine sense strong enough to comprehend this origin. At this moment, his divine sense spread out, enveloping the rift space. As he continued his deductions, the number of restrictions gradually decreased. This reduction was not due to them disappearing, but rather due to their fusion. Every two restrictions fused together to form one. As time passed, the fusion accelerated, and by the end, nearly every moment saw multiple restrictions dissolving and new ones appearing. The origin of the restrictions is a power of calculation, a force that encompasses the heavens and the earth, even deducing the future and altering one's fate. This requires an incredibly powerful divine sense. Tian Yunzi deleted this technique. I couldn't see it clearly before, but now I realize Tian Yunzi must have hidden his astonishing expertise in restrictions. Wang Lin opened his eyes, a cold light flashing within. He had always been wary of Tian Yunzi. This person, lurking in the shadows, always felt like an unseen gaze coming from the void behind him, making one uncomfortable, yet whenever he turned around, he could never find the source. 7 days passed, and the restriction storm in the rift space significantly shrank. Nearly half of the countless restrictions had already dissipated, all fused into one. However, Wang Lin could not afford to relax. He discovered that although the restrictions had fused, their endless evolution still continued. If he didn't complete the fusion into a single restriction, they would soon evolve into even more. Even now, with half of the restrictions remaining, there were subtle signs of them splitting. One split would be enough to undo all of Wang Lin's previous efforts. His divine sense spread out like a vast net, enclosing all the restrictions. His gaze flashed, and with a surge of divine sense, he pushed and squeezed them together once more. The further he went, the harder it became. It felt as if his divine sense had been split into countless pieces, silently fusing the restrictions in endless deduction. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye, and the area covered by Wang Lin's divine sense shrank once more, halving again. The number of restrictions continued to decrease, but the force of their potential split had almost reached its peak. Wang Lin remained motionless, but his expression was extremely grave. He had already used all of his divine sense and deduction, searching for the chance to initiate the third fusion. At last, after another 10 days, just as a small portion of the restrictions began to split, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes. Restrictions are formations, and formations are the Tao. The heavens and earth have formations, which are rules and laws. Humans have formations as well, such as fate, such as trajectory. These formations and restrictions, in essence, are self-established rules by the cultivator themselves. With these self-made rules, they shake the heavens and earth. Restrictions fuse once more. Wang Lin's eyes shone with understanding, and as he murmured softly, his divine sense swept over the restrictions, causing them to fuse explosively. This was the third fusion. After this fusion, only around 10 million restrictions remained, each one complete and seemingly flawless, exuding a powerful aura. They were now almost impossible to fuse again. Wang Lin's face grew pale. Completing the fusion 3 times was his limit. The evolution of the restrictions, turning them into a single one, was far more difficult than he had imagined. There could be no slackening of focus. This invisible pressure forced Wang Lin to divide his attention, intensifying his exhaustion even further. Restriction merge. Wang Lin roared in a low voice, his divine sense suddenly strengthening, fiercely condensing from 8 directions. The sound of explosions echoed within the countless restrictions surrounding him, shaking the heavens. Under this immense pressure, the restrictions fused together, forcibly merged by Wang Lin. However, the fusion was only halfway through when several restrictions collapsed. Their destruction didn't mean disappearance, but rather caused them to split into multiple fragments. Under this split, other restrictions also began to shatter one by one. In just a few breaths, the nearly 10 million restrictions instantly surged, causing Wang Lin's divine sense to no longer contract but expand outward. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed with sharpness. If this situation wasn't stopped immediately, his attempt at fusion would fail. His body swayed, and he stepped forward, leaving behind only his clone, seated cross-legged in place. As soon as his true body appeared, the aura of the Tao Ancient swept through, shaking the heavens. Wang Lin's true body flickered, revealing his ancient demon body, rushing to one side, while at the same time, his ancient devil body manifested amidst the overwhelming demonic energy, rushing to another side. The remaining ancient god body surged backward, forming a triangle with the ancient demon and ancient devil bodies, surrounding the area. Restriction merge. Wang Lin's clone's expression twisted in a grimace as he growled, his divine sense once again exerting tremendous pressure, while his true body's ancient 3 clan avatars unleashed their cultivation power, merging with his divine sense, causing the pressure and fusion to escalate instantly. Booming sounds resounded. Whether the restrictions were splitting or merging, they were all forcefully brought together at that moment by the combined efforts of Wang Lin's true body and divine sense. In the blink of an eye, the restrictions in the area drastically reduced, leaving less than 5 million surrounding Wang Lin. This was the 4th fusion. These 5 million restrictions, like 5 million wild horses unwilling to be controlled, emitted terrifying lights. If not for Wang Lin's divine sense tightly enclosing them and the restriction from his 3 bodies, they would have immediately shattered and scattered in all directions. Wang Lin's eyes had turned bloodshot, veins of blood spreading across his pupils, weaving into an intricate pattern, as though there existed some strange law. Everyone has eyes, pupils, and veins, but the shape and number of the veins are different for each person. These veins were not only a sign of Wang Lin's fatigue, but also the traces of his continuous efforts in the past days. They were the method he had devised to combine and give birth to the restriction's origin. Restriction, 5th fusion. Wang Lin raised his right hand and formed a seal. 6 sources of origin appeared in his body, and with a shock, the 6 sources transformed, shaking the starry sky as they became 6 long swords, soaring into the sky. In a flash, they descended, surrounding Wang Lin's clone in the center, 2 swords for each of his true bodies. At the moment the swords descended, the 5 million restrictions were once again forcibly fused. Booming and whirling sounds echoed. Soon, the restrictions were fused for the 6th, 7th, and 8th times. With each fusion, the number of restrictions changed, and some fused in groups of 3, 4, or even 5. After the 8th fusion, only a few thousand restrictions remained around Wang Lin. These few thousand restrictions contained 4 great seals each and some that didn't belong to the abode realm. Each one was tens of zhang in size, swirling around, emitting vibrations. Gazing at these thousands of restrictions, Wang Lin's eyes reddened even more. 3172. Enough. Wang Lin suddenly stood up, raising his right hand and slapping his chest. With this slap, he spat out a mouthful of blood. As the blood appeared, Wang Lin immediately waved his sleeve, and the blood split into 3,172 parts, flying toward each restriction. Blood restriction, 9th fusion, Wang Lin shouted, using blood as the medium to fuse the 3,000 restrictions. This time, a blood-red light surged, and the restrictions rumbled as they intertwined and overlapped. As the blood light grew more intense, by the end, only 9 restrictions remained floating before Wang Lin. These 9 restrictions, each 1,000 zhang in size, resembled small mountains, exuding an ancient aura, standing tall within the starry sky. However, just as these 9 restrictions merged, one suddenly collapsed, splitting into countless fragments that swept across the surroundings. Soon after, several other restrictions shattered simultaneously. This unexpected turn of events left Wang Lin no time to think. He quickly raised his right hand and pointed at his right eye. As soon as he pointed, blood mist sprayed from his right eye. Within the mist, a huge pupil phantom appeared before him, filled with endless blood veins. This point also left Wang Lin confused. At times, he thought he had figured it out, but more often, he found himself rejecting his previous guesses. The answer Wang Lin now considered was the rules, laws, and the formation of the heavens and earth. What exactly are the heavens and earth? In the abode realm, the heavens are the heavenly Tao, but what is the heavenly Tao? What gives it, or him, or her, the authority to decide the rules and laws? How were they born? Wang Lin didn't understand. Even though his origin of war had transformed into a new rule, he still couldn't comprehend it. He only knew that rules and laws were intangible, but if viewed as tangible, they could be imagined as lines, coiling around all people, all living beings, and all objects in the world. It was like the many blurry threads that appeared during the body immobilization art, wrapping around the enemy. These threads were Wang Lin's understanding of the rules and laws. Each thread was unique, interwoven to form different rules. The will contained within these rules became the laws. This is the essence of the heavens and earth, the heavenly Tao. In Wang Lin's understanding, the restriction seals were a technique born from the earliest living beings after the heavens and earth were formed. These beings worshipped the heavens, but eventually began to doubt and question. Amidst this fervent reverence for the heavens, whether changed or unchanged, they mimicked the rules, mimicked the laws, and thus created a technique. This technique is the formation, the restriction. Wang Lin, through days of contemplation, did not focus on the differences and distinctions between these restrictions, but on uncovering the origin of the restriction he understood. In his mind, if those intangible threads are the rules and laws, then in order to truly obtain the origin of restrictions perfectly, one must condense their own threads. These threads must be based on one's own body, entirely belonging to oneself, to succeed. So, as he slashed at the ghost face canvas, tearing it open and being instantly enlightened by the infinite storm of restrictions, he thought of a method. This method was the blood threads in his pupils. By transforming the blood threads of his eyes into the threads of rules and laws in the heavens and earth, and merging them into all the restrictions within Wang Lin's eyes, a being resembling the heavens and earth would be born. His eyes would become the origin of the restriction, his own rules, and his thoughts would embody the will of those rules, which is the law. This method was never conceived before in history, and Wang Lin was the first. He was bold and meticulous. Once deciding on something, he would not easily change his mind. At that moment, his illusory right eye appeared, with the blood threads in its pupil clearly visible. With a low shout from Wang Lin, the blood threads in the pupil flashed out, magnified infinitely, covering the collapsing restrictions. At this moment, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pressed it over his left eye. Immediately, his left eye transformed, and an enormous pupil formed before him. As the two pupils appeared, the blood threads shimmered, spreading throughout, and the restrictions fused one by one with the blood threads. After half an incense stick, no restrictions remained in the area, only the two enormous pupils, swirling with endless blood threads, floating in the starry sky. As Wang Lin's thoughts shifted, the two illusory pupils quickly shrank and vanished into Wang Lin's eyes. Simultaneously, Wang Lin closed his eyes. His true body's three entities merged in an instant, transforming into his true self, stepping forward to overlap with his closed-eye avatar, and ultimately merging into one. The divine sense that had scattered around began to slowly condense, finally returning to Wang Lin's body. The 6 swords formed from the origins revolved around Wang Lin, slowly spinning. The aura of the origins spread, making Wang Lin's figure appear somewhat blurry. Everything in the starry sky calmed down, as if nothing had happened, with only Wang Lin sitting cross-legged, motionless. But gradually, a powerful aura spread from his body. This aura, born from the mid-ethereal stage cultivation, surged with boiling energy, showing signs of rapid escalation. The aura grew stronger and, as it spread, the 6 swords formed from the origins around Wang Lin hummed with a cheer. This sound seemed to celebrate the emergence of the 7th origin. Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened, emitting a terrifying gaze that anyone would find chilling. His eyes had no color, but anyone who met that gaze would feel a shock to their mind, as if the gaze was blood red. At the source of that gaze, blood threads were interwoven in his pupils, resembling the rules of the heavens and earth, more so like the laws of the heavens and earth. Each strand of blood contained a restriction, and Wang Lin's expression remained calm as his eyes swept across the starry sky. In his eyes, he saw countless faint lines existing within the vast sky, and these lines were the rules. He raised his right hand and gently flicked forward. It appeared ordinary, but to Wang Lin, his hand had lifted an invisible thread that no one else could see. The moment this thread was lifted, a patch of ice suddenly appeared in the distant starry sky. The ice appeared so suddenly that, as soon as it emerged, it immediately froze the area around it. As Wang Lin released his finger from the invisible thread, the ice in the distance violently shattered, transforming into countless shards of ice that scattered in all directions. Among them, a giant chunk of ice sped toward Wang Lin, only to vanish without a trace 10 feet before him. Wang Lin remained unfazed. His right hand lifted another invisible thread, and as he manipulated it, the distant starry sky on his right side suddenly collapsed with a great roar, revealing a massive black hole. The endless force of suction emerged, devouring all the dust around it. After a long while, Wang Lin closed his eyes. When he opened them again, he formed a gesture with his right hand and pointed at the center of his forehead, 3 inches above the eyebrows. Gradually, a red light surged from his eyes, and faint blood vessels could be seen beneath the red glow. In Wang Lin's gaze, they shifted their paths and slowly gathered from their scattered state, ultimately forming a single thread. One eye, one thread. This red thread, composed of all the faint lines, did not stand upright like a snake's pupil, but lay horizontally in the center of Wang Lin's gaze. The red glow emanated, condensing at the tip of his right finger. Gradually, the light from his fingertip became brighter, its color shifting from a bright red to a dark glow of restriction. After a long time, Wang Lin lowered his hand. With a single finger pointed forward, a flash of dark light flickered, and a long sword slowly materialized before him. This sword was ethereal, with countless restrictions seemingly embedded within it. At the moment the sword appeared, Wang Lin's long hair lifted in the windless air. His body also emitted a series of booming sounds, and his aura surged. His cultivation level swiftly advanced from the mid-ethereal stage to the late ethereal stage. He suddenly lifted his head and clenched his fist. The surge of power from his cultivation caused the starry sky around him to tremble, as if he had grasped the sky itself in his hand. Slowly rising to his feet, Wang Lin flicked his sleeve. 7 swords formed from the essence of the origin rushed through the air and melded into his body, disappearing from sight. With a quick grasp of his right hand, the previously torn ghost face sail reappeared in his palm. His gaze flashed, and as Wang Lin looked at the sail, the tear began to heal at a visible speed. Within moments, the sail was whole again, without any trace of damage. The ghostly face on the sail remained grotesque, but to Wang Lin now, it felt oddly familiar. This ghost face sail had completely become Wang Lin's treasure. The illusion techniques of the Great Soul sect in the Immortal Firmament continent are also a form of restriction, and they belong to the very source of restrictions. Restrictions, after all, are illusory, just like the rules. If you say they exist, they exist. When you have the power to ignore them, you say they do not exist, and they cease to be. This is illusion, similar to truth and falsehood, but fundamentally different. Though I have gained insight into the source of restrictions, this source has not yet fully formed. It is only an extension based on my own understanding. The true source of restrictions, when fully realized, requires one to transform oneself into heaven and earth, to make one's rules the rules of heaven and earth, and to make one's will the laws of heaven and earth. This is difficult, difficult, difficult. Wang Lin shook his head in silence, stowing the ghost face sail away, and stepped forward. There are still many things to do, and the illusion restriction on this ghost face sail needs more time to study. But it is time to leave this place. Wang Lin's figure slowly faded, his white hair swaying in the wind. On this journey across the cloud sea, Wang Lin had gained immensely. The 8 stars of ancient Tao, reaching the ethereal stage, acquiring the ghost face sail, gaining control over the soul demon vessel, and even forming an alliance with Fan Shanlu. Most importantly, he had subtly discovered a method to search for the third soul from the Rainbow Taoist. Meanwhile, on the immortal firmament continent, within the domain of the immortal clan, a rare battle erupted in the heavens. This battle was nearly undetectable by those on the ground. Their cultivation was not sufficient, and they were not qualified to know of these events. To many cultivators, the sky had been murky for the past few months, as though mist was slowly flowing. Xianluo, your cultivation has weakened considerably since the past. You must be nearing the time for your reincarnation. I wonder if you have found your protector. If not, I can send one to you. Daoyi, since I entered the immortal clan's domain, you have been pestering me. If you continue to interfere, I will slaughter your entire Daoyi sect. The blood-red sun blazed in the sky as Xianluo spoke calmly. Slaughter my Daoyi sect? You seem anxious. It must be that this time, entering the immortal clan's domain, you have a great matter at hand. I, Xianluo, am heading to a place where every step is crucial. Do you let me go, or do you not? Xianluo completely disregarded the use of devious schemes, his eyes flashing with a cold light. But the rift was their home. At this moment, they lingered around the outskirts, unwilling to leave. As time passed, the fierce beasts grew increasingly restless, yet none dared to step into the rift. Low, muffled growls echoed around them. Then, on one particular day, a figure in white slowly stepped out from the rift. The instant he appeared, the fierce beasts at the edge all retreated in unison. They clearly sensed an aura emanating from Wang Lin that caused their hearts to tremble. Wang Lin stepped out of the rift, his gaze calmly sweeping over the vast array of fierce beasts before him. Without pausing, he blurred and vanished from sight. It wasn't until long after Wang Lin had departed that the beasts slowly approached the rift again. Cautiously, they ventured inside, and upon sensing no danger, they surged in, flooding the rift. Wang Lin moved through the starry sky, his figure flickering through the void. At times, he would emerge briefly, only to dissipate in an instant, reappearing far away. Not long after, he reached the edge of the Cloud Sea Star domain, the very boundary of the new immortal realm. The floating continents, surrounded by the shimmering galaxy, emitted a soft, radiant light that bathed everything around them. Waves of restriction arrays emanated from the land, guarding the immortal realm. Looking at the scene, Wang Lin's expression softened. This was a place he had created, a home for him in the abode realm, besides the vermilion bird star. Many people here were familiar to him, making it hard for him to part from this place. This galaxy, transformed from the Zhao River immortal realm, though protected by restrictions, its power is still insufficient. The immortal guardian restrictions in the galaxy had been something Wang Lin could not strengthen before, but now, he was able to. Without entering the immortal realm immediately, Wang Lin stood outside the galaxy, focusing for a moment. His pupils, once clear, now regained the faint, blood-red lines that gave off a strange glow. Wang Lin raised his right hand and swiftly waved it forward. As he did, the blood-red lines from his pupils silently transformed and shot toward the galaxy. In that instant, the blood-colored light from his eyes flickered as the blood threads surrounding his body merged with the galaxy, casting a faint blood glow across it. Having completed this, Wang Lin looked toward the starry sky. To his vision, the blurry threads of cosmic laws began to reappear one by one. He raised his right hand, and with a flick, countless threads of these laws began to swirl through the starry sky like waves. Gradually, they gathered from all directions, surrounding the galaxy densely. With this, the immortal realm should be able to remain safe through this great calamity in search of the third soul, Wang Lin murmured before stepping forward toward the galaxy. The moment Wang Lin entered the immortal realm, figures like the Red Robe immediately sensed it. They woke from their meditative states, their expressions shifting as they flew into the sky. Qing Lin, Qing Shui, Situ Nan, and Southern Cloud Master all stood in the air, gazing at the distant figure in white. Smiles appeared on their faces. More of Wang Lin's familiar people also sensed the arrival, and upon seeing the white figure, smiles bloomed across their faces. Wang Lin looked at the familiar faces ahead, their warm smiles causing him to smile as well. He noticed that beside Qing Shui stood Red Butterfly, and the father and daughter had evidently reunited. He saw Qing Lin followed by Qing Shuang, and in the distance, amidst the crowd, a melancholy man stood watching Qing Shuang. His expression was complex, tinged with sadness, but mostly, it was one of contentment. It was Zhou Yi. Wang Lin also saw Zhou Ru. In his heart, Zhou Ru, though now an adult, was still a child. The tiger beside Zhou Ru still accompanied her. Wang Lin swept his gaze over the crowd, and, with a smile, softly spoke. "I'm home." These 3 words stirred waves of cheer in the immortal realm. In the western part of the immortal realm, which was once an empty expanse, now flourished the ancient star clans. This was the Blue Silk clan. Blue Dream Dao Sovereign sat outside a small hut he had built, looking at the sky, his lips curling into a smile. His daughter, Li Qianmei, was not by his side, as she had gone into seclusion. Blue Dream Dao Sovereign believed that Li Qianmei's cultivation wasn't sufficient. Thus, after bringing the Blue Silk clan to the immortal realm, he had sent her into seclusion to comprehend his core principles. After a brief conversation with some familiar faces, Wang Lin left. With him were Situ Nan, Zhou Ru, Detu, 13, and others. They followed Wang Lin to the northern part of the immortal realm, where they settled on a vast range of mountains. During this time, Wang Lin also visited Blue Dream Dao Sovereign, where he learned that Li Qianmei was in seclusion. For some reason, upon hearing this, Wang Lin felt a sense of relief in his heart. Perhaps, he didn't know what to say if he were to meet Li Qianmei again. He himself couldn't distinguish whether it was gratitude or affection between him and Li Qianmei. Gratitude is not the same as affection. That soft whisper from Li Qianmei in Wang Lin's ear always echoed in his mind. The new immortal realm was like a land of peach blossoms, far from the worldly strife. It paid no attention to the figure searching for the third soul in the inner and outer realms. With Wang Lin's return, the cultivators here seemed to gain a renewed sense of confidence, living peacefully in this place. Wang Lin lived on a mountain peak, where a simple hut served as his home. Zhou Ru was unwilling to leave, staying by Wang Lin's side like a daughter. At times, her gaze towards him was filled with deep attachment. Watching Zhou Ru grow, Wang Lin felt warmth in his heart, but also a piercing pain. The pain came from remembering Li Muan, from the scenes on Vermilion Birdstar. He felt that he had wronged Xun'er, but his suffering remained hidden from others, as did his pain. Over 2,000 years, the weight of time had concealed everything. Then there was Xun'er and Detu. These 2 were cultivating under Wang Lin's guidance, gaining many insights. Wang Lin had long since given Detu his soul blood and removed the servant seal, granting him freedom. Yet, Detu never left. At times, he would gaze at the sky with a melancholic look, his eyes filled with longing. Wang Lin knew Detu missed his home, but that home no longer existed. The painful memories of his childhood had become precious to Detu now, making it hard for him to let go. Xun'er was a simple person. He didn't think much. His sole focus was cultivation, to become his master's strongest disciple. When his master needed him, he would give up everything, even his life. As for Situ Nan, he spent his days drinking with Wang Lin, occasionally laughing heartily, patting Wang Lin's back, and looking very pleased, as if he had forgotten all his worries in this reunion. When drunk, he would sometimes gaze at Wang Lin with a faint smile and shake his head, not in admiration of Wang Lin's growth, but because he had long since stopped being a prince. Zhou Yi had visited once. His gloomy expression grew even more pronounced as they drank together. He never spoke a word but silently drank with Wang Lin, finishing cup after cup. After a long stare at Wang Lin, a smile finally appeared on his face, and he nodded before leaving. His back was desolate. He had always tried to earn Qing Shuang's recognition, or at least make her remember him. No matter the outcome, he would wait, waiting for that day to come, even if it meant waiting a lifetime. Soon, Wang Lin spent a month in the new immortal realm. During this time, he took out the treasures from the immortal treasury he had obtained from the Thunder immortal realm years ago. He handed down all the immortal arts within it to Qing Lin and the others. They would arrange to pass these arts on, helping to raise the overall strength of the immortal realm. Meanwhile, beyond the immortal realm, signs of great unrest were beginning to take shape. The four great generals of the ancient immortal domain were using a special method to search for the third soul. Together with many immortals, they had set up a mysterious immortal bloodline formation to continue their search. Of course, there were some unknown methods involved, and even Wang Lin was unaware of them. Aside from the four great generals leading the way, the war ghost showed no action. He simply locked onto their position with his divine sense, watching as they searched. His intentions were clear, and the four great generals understood, yet strangely, they didn't stop their search. It seemed as though they had something to rely on, and weren't bothered by the war ghost's attention. As for the Rainbow Taoist, after leaving the Cloud Sea, he gathered the Palm's sovereign and a few immortal consorts from the outer realm, entering the inner realm and heading straight for Kungsu. There, they began searching in earnest. It was as if they had secretly activated some divine ability, one that had been gained after the great battle between the inner and outer realms, where countless cultivators had died, providing an opportunity for the Rainbow Taoist. Wang Lin was also searching for the third soul. Most of his time this month was spent researching how to use the ghost face sail and master the illusion techniques within it. This process was slow. Despite his impatience, there was no quick solution. However, compared to searching for the third soul, Wang Lin's heart had a thorn he needed to pull out first. Even if he couldn't remove it, he had to understand where exactly this thorn was, and how it could be fatal. That thorn was Tian Yunzi. This wasn't Wang Lin's first time plotting against Tian Yunzi, but it was his first time intending to resolve this 1,000-year entanglement once and for all. Tian Yunzi, where exactly are you hiding? Wang Lin sat cross-legged outside the hut, his gaze flickering before closing his eyes, immersing himself in his consciousness, focusing on the soul of Tian Yunzi that he had kept hidden for so long. He intended to use this soul to locate Tian Yunzi's true body, and then kill him. Until Tian Yunzi was eliminated, Wang Lin could never be at peace. Other than the third soul, this man was the greatest variable of all. Over the years, through Tian Yunzi's clone, Wang Lin had on several occasions calculated a slim chance of survival in the midst of life and death calamities, receiving immense benefit from it. Were it not for the fact that as his cultivation rose, he could faintly sense Tian Yunzi's presence, a presence that posed an immense danger to him, Wang Lin would never have wanted to provoke Tian Yunzi. In Wang Lin's heart, Tian Yunzi's mystery was unparalleled. He had never felt the same way toward any other person. Where exactly is he, and what kind of schemes is he weaving? Wang Lin frowned, merging his mind with Tian Yunzi's clone, and began silently deducing. Time passed slowly. Sitting cross-legged outside the small dwelling, Wang Lin did not move an inch. His entire mind was within Tian Yunzi's clone. In that fusion, he once again felt the uncanny illusion that he had become Tian Yunzi himself. It wasn't the first time he had felt this. Back in the crisis with the Water Path Master, he had experienced the same sensation. As the fusion deepened, Wang Lin's mind gradually became tranquil. Though his eyes remained closed, it was as if the entire immortal realm continent beneath him existed within his heart. Sun, moon, and cosmos were before his gaze, and all under the heavens could not escape the calculations of his will. This feeling could make a person swell without limit. Wang Lin seemed to forget his own name, as though he had become part of Tian Yunzi. In this ever-tightening fusion, His divine sense spread outward from his body in all directions. By this means, Wang Lin sought to use the subtle link between Tian Yunzi's true body and his clone to locate him. But to do so, he would have to merge completely, become the clone in every respect. This was not the first time Wang Lin had used this method. He had considered in detail whether there might be danger, but had never found a trace of it. At the very instant Wang Lin's self merged with Tian Yunzi's clone, somewhere in the Zheohe star domain, a meteorite several zhang across drifted slowly through the starry sky. Inside it, Tian Yunzi sat cross-legged, a strange smile at his lips. His mane of white hair floated with an odd grace, carrying a certain immortal air. Yet that smile on his lips shattered the image, lending him an eerie and unfathomable presence instead. His eyes slowly opened, a bright gleam flashing forth, and his smile deepened. His gaze seemed to pierce through the meteorite, through the starry void, to the immortal realm at its edge, where he saw the cross-legged figure of Wang Lin. No wonder you are my prized disciple. You can't escape my grasp. The higher your cultivation, the more you aid me, the greater the benefits. The 7 origins already. Good, very good. Tian Yunzi smiled, and with a murmur raised his right hand, slowly clenching it into a fist. In that instant, a wave of origin source energy of cause and effect burst from his palm. This was the cause and effect origin, undeniably so. Life in the left palm, death in the right. I can do that as well. His left hand rested on his knee, and now, in addition to the cause and effect origin, a second origin appeared. Life and death. Eyes closed for falsehood, open for truth. In his gaze, the truth and illusion origin coalesced. More startling still, within his left pupil, flames surged skyward. Within his right, lightning split the heavens. All of these I command. The slaughter origin, I have that as well. Between his brows, a blurred vortex appeared, and from within stepped another Tian Yunzi, clad in gray. Excellent. I have already taken all of these into myself. Only the 7th origin remains. His eyes flickered, blood threads flooding his pupils in moments, until they filled them entirely. Gradually, restriction seals emerged within the crimson web. The seals within the blood threads still needed time to merge fully, but they were spreading quickly. It would not be long before Tian Yunzi comprehended the entirety of the seal origin. To weave the threads of my pupils into the laws of heaven and earth, to make my will itself the cosmic principle. Disciple, you truly astonish me. No one in all history has conceived of this method. Excellent. You are indeed the heaven-defying child I spent countless ages deducing. My plan will be completed through you. It will certainly be completed. Tian Yunzi licked his lips, excitement gleaming in his eyes, an expression rare on his normally placid face. I have a tree, planted for 2,000 years. It has already bloomed. But the time to harvest the fruit has not yet come. It still needs more nourishment. A glint flashed in his gaze, and within the blood threads of his eyes, the restriction seals spread swiftly. In a short time, they already occupied 30% and were still expanding. But in that instant, Tian Yunzi's expression suddenly tightened, and his smile vanished from his face. Even the restriction that was rapidly merging in his eyes immediately halted. In the new immortal realm, on the peak where Wang Lin's house was located, after 5 days of sitting cross-legged outside his residence without moving, Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes, forcibly separating himself from the merging with Tian Yunzi's clone. His face darkened, and suspicion flashed in his eyes. He looked down at his body, his brows furrowed deeply. Strange. Why do I feel like I lost some of my origin while merging with Tian Yunzi's clone? Wang Lin pondered as he carefully examined his 7 origins, but no matter how he looked, his origin was intact. This reassured him slightly, but the doubt lingered in his mind. My origin hasn't decreased, so why do I have that feeling? Is it just an illusion? After a brief silence, Wang Lin again focused his mind on merging with Tian Yunzi's clone, slowly attempting to integrate. However, just as he was about to fully merge, he suddenly staggered and forcefully interrupted the process, standing up abruptly. His expression was as cold as winter ice. Wang Lin looked up at the sky, his eyes glinting with a chilling light. This doesn't make sense. It can't be an illusion. There's something wrong with Tian Yunzi's clone. Wang Lin raised his right hand and slapped his forehead. He forcefully pulled outward, immediately extracting strands of soul, like wisps of smoke, from his forehead. In his hand, the soul transformed into the appearance of Tian Yunzi. The soul of Tian Yunzi's clone sat cross-legged, motionless. Where is the problem? Wang Lin's divine sense spread out, carefully searching through the soul, but he found nothing. This only deepened his suspicion. There are no clues. My origin hasn't decreased, it's all just a feeling. Could it be that I'm wrong? Tian Yunzi's clone and his true body share some connection, which I thought could help me find Tian Yunzi's whereabouts. But now, why does it feel like this connection, or rather, this clone, is all part of Tian Yunzi's scheme? Wang Lin's heart trembled as he struggled to believe his own guess. Back in the land of demonic spirits, I used the remnant night technique to kill Tian Yunzi's clone and took it for myself. Could that have been part of Tian Yunzi's plan? This is too unbelievable. Wang Lin's mind replayed the scenes from the land of demonic spirits. Even now, he couldn't find any signs of Tian Yunzi's deliberate involvement. Looking at Tian Yunzi's clone's soul, Wang Lin's expression changed constantly, growing darker. He couldn't understand. After a moment of silence, a sharp glint flashed in his eyes, and with a sudden movement, he vanished from his original spot. When his figure reappeared, it was beneath a towering mountain in the southern part of the immortal realm. The mountain was blanketed in white snow, a snow-covered mountain. The cold wind howled, and there were flecks of crystal in the air, snowflakes brushing against his face, sending a biting chill. Wang Lin leaped upward toward the mountain peak. The cold wind struck him, but it couldn't stop his progress in the slightest. As he neared the mountainside, Wang Lin saw Qing Xuan. Dressed in white, she gazed at the vast heavens with a desolate look in her eyes, a mixture of struggle and memories. Behind her, Zhou appeared to be speaking softly, his gaze filled with tenderness and affection. They didn't notice Wang Lin's arrival, nor did he disturb them. In a flash, he passed by them and ascended to the mountain's peak. There, a white pavilion stood, surrounded by swirling, immortal energy. In the sky, it formed a massive vortex, sweeping in all directions, clearly visible from a great distance. Outside the pavilion, Wang Lin emerged from the void. The pavilion door opened silently. Qing Lin, dressed in a blue robe, looked like a scholar, smiling as he gazed at Wang Lin. "Brother Wang, it's rare for you to visit. May I ask what brings you to me?" Although Qing Lin had once said he would accept Wang Lin as a disciple, over time, that statement had faded. Now, seeing Wang Lin's cultivation and status, Qing Lin naturally altered his address to show respect for a fellow cultivator. "I've heard that Senior Qing Lin is skilled in calculations. I need to ask for your protection and help with some calculations." Wang Lin cupped his fists, his expression serious as he looked at Qing Lin. "Of course, I will do my best. Just tell me what needs to be done." Seeing Wang Lin's solemn face, Qing Lin immediately stopped smiling and spoke in a deep voice. "The soul I have is the soul of Tian Yunzi's clone from Kungsu. Tian Yunzi is skilled in calculations and is now hiding somewhere unknown. I fear something might happen to him, so I want to find him through his clone's soul." But Wang Lin explained the previous events, then flipped his hand. The soul of Tian Yunzi's clone appeared in his palm. Listening to Wang Lin's words, Qing Lin's expression grew serious. After Wang Lin finished speaking, his eyes gleamed with sharpness as he focused on the soul of Tian Yunzi's clone. "Such a thing actually exists. Let me take a look at this soul first." Qing Lin raised his right hand and grasped the soul of Tian Yunzi's clone, concentrating as he gazed at it.